Terry McMillan and Steve Torrence, and yeah, everybody's fighting the sun. This is Terry bringing his car in. Prior to starting that, visor goes down, just trying to see.
The earmarks of a bizarre evening of racing unfolding here. Pat Dakin, have you ever won a round of racing with a 879?
Not in my lifetime, and I've been around a while.
Any idea, how do you make a judgment with the track conditions as they are? I mean, we know the safety safari broke their butts trying to get this thing ready to race.
Yeah, it's just so cold here. I don't know what they can possibly do to make this thing where you can run on it. It's too cold. It's been raining too long. I don't know what you can possibly do to make this thing right. But I'm sure they'll do everything they can, and hopefully it'll be better next time.
Stick 20 points in your pocket and come on back in a while.
Woohoo!
And now you know the task for everybody here on a cool, crisp Sunday evening in Atlanta Dragway. Terry McMillan and Steve Torrence on the racetrack right now, and Graham Light catching a little bit of heat from Richard Hartman. Basically tells him, hey, you don't like what we're doing, take your car home. Yeah. They started it, though.
Tensions are getting a little heated out there, aren't they?
They are. For Terry McMillan, this is a team still without a round win since 2014. In fact, their last round win, you got to go back to the U.S. Nationals, Indianapolis, when they beat Brittany. Steve Torrence, a couple of years ago, he won here, but then went out in round one a year ago, senior power rank.
And this becomes a situation where it's more of a driver's race now than the crew chiefs. And the crew chiefs obviously involved, but the drivers really have to be ready. Steve Torrence has struggled on the backpedaling side of it. Sometimes been a little bit antsy getting back on the throttle. You're really, if either one of these guys spin the tires early, you're going to have to really stay out of the throttle, let that car really settle down, and then just try to roll back into it. It's very, very difficult in these machines.
It's Steve Torrence and Richard Hogan that get that car legged down the racetrack. It wasn't pretty. It was pretty enough. You saw on board with McMillan, looked like he started to drive away, but then he had problems. Torrence was able to drive around.
Looked like Steve Torrence pedaled it early right there, and he did the job. He let the car settle down rather than give it a quick slap. If the track conditions are good right there, he could have gotten on the throttle a lot quicker, but he knew the conditions weren't all that great. So basically, at that point right there, he goes out there, he gets out of it, lets the car settle down, and then gets back in it and drives around Terry McMillan.
And Richard Hartman, we saw that discussion going on with you and Graham Light earlier. What was it you were upset about at the start line?
Well, they had a problem. There's water where the paint is, and a lot of crew chiefs and assistant crew chief stuff were walking on the water and then taking it out on the track, and I was just trying to get their attention. And then later, the draggers were dragging it onto the track, so they had to reverse their method, and I was just trying to get their attention. You know, everyone's on the edge right now, to say the least, but NHRA does a fantastic job, and they would never put us on a track that they felt was unsafe. Do I think it's a great track? No. What else are we going to do?
All right, thank you.
That is a tough position to be in for everybody, but everybody is in it together.
If you look at, there's a problem right there. The rubber just does not bond to that concrete surface, and you just cannot get anything for those big Goodyear tires to really push off to accelerate that car forward. Take another look at Steve Torrence. Like I said, when the track conditions are good and tight, you can go out there when it starts rattling the tires. You can see it actually pulling the rubber off the track right there. And normally when it starts rattling the tires, at that point, a lot of times you give it a real quick little slap and the car will recover. But when it really gets on a track like this, you really got to let that car settle down. Steve Torrence did a good job to advance to the second round.
Well, it is no doubt a dicey day here.